Welcome back to my inconsistent and chaotic channel. Today we're gonna actually take a look at something a little bit different. I tried printing out 3D printed models inspired by my, at the moment, favorite games. BioShock and BioShock Infinite. And with that, I did a half-attempted cosplay. Wanna know why this took 5 freaking months? Let's take a look. So the reason why I wanted to do this in the first place is my friend Carter gave me the idea that for every game that I complete, I should print out a little memento or trophy for completing that game. I was like, I'm gonna do that, but why stop there? Let's turn it into a little cosplay. For those that don't know, BioShock Infinite and BioShock are both retro-futuristic RPG first-person shooter games. I started with BioShock and I first had to decide what I wanted to print. So to get some inspiration, I just went to Thingiverse and literally just searched BioShock. Several things came up like Eve replica and a bunch of models like Splicer models, Little Sisters, and Big Daddies. I realized that I actually wanted to print something, not only just a memento for the game, but something that was actually wearable. I found a Splicer bunny mask and I was like sold immediately. So for this model, I believe it took 36 hours to print. It had to print in 3 pieces. The file actually came with 2 dowels in them to attach the ears onto the base of the mask. And my sister and I couldn't really make that work, so we just decided to sand down the ears as much as possible and then super glue them together, and that seemed to work fine. My sister did lose a couple skin cells that day, but it's all fine. So, and then after that was glued on, that's when I could start the painting process. So I was kind of uninspired, so I just took what others had done before and what was in the game. So that means kind of an ivory white aged mask with gold accents and maybe a splatter of blood. This was very therapeutic and simple because it was just like coloring within the lines. Since the mask basically outlines everything for you, you don't have to worry about detail or shaky hands like I do. Did several coats of everything and it was really fast. Went pretty well and it was just a lot, so there's a lot of drawing time. I know I'm 14 years late to the game, but I recently played BioShock and BioShock Infinite for the first time this fall. I've heard about it before, but I didn't actually know anything about the game. And the first time playing BioShock, I was in complete, utter awe of the whole aesthetic of the game. I mean, I love the RPG elements and the writing and the music and everything, but the overall aesthetic of this retro-futuristic underwater 1940s, 60s world was just entirely captivating. And it was just basically like a scarier version of Fallout. Rapture is a retro-futuristic city that was built in the 1940s in this world and fell into disarray in the 1960s. You're probably noticing I failed to mention BioShock 2. I swear I tried playing it. I could not get past like 5 hours within the game. The gameplay was just awful. BioShock 2 basically penalizes the player for being bad, which I am not a very great player. I just like to enjoy games. So it was just too frustrating that it wasn't worth the storytelling to get through it. And that's what I had heard, so that's why I had played 2 and then 3, that they were great games. People were like, just skip 2, and now I understand why. I took the gold metallic paint and a dry brush and rubbed it into the mask to give it more of a rubbed away look, a more dirty look as well. That actually helped age it a lot. I also wanted to do the splatter, and I had tried this with my friends before, where I took a brush and just took the red paint and like splattered it. But it was too perfect, like the lines were too linear and not like a blood splatter like you had just tried to kill somebody. So because the mask wasn't giving me killer vibes enough, I thought that using my hand dipped in red paint and splattering it on would work best. So let's just see how that went. Oh shit. Dad?
Yeah.
I messed up.
You get a towel to wipe it off or something? Whoa!
I like everything else, but like this is just too much
So
concentrate.
just do that part. Just try it.
Honestly, I kind of like how it turned out.
So yeah, actually that ended up working in my favor because when I washed off the paint, it made some of the red paint diffuse and kind of fade into the mask like I had smeared it off, and that actually helped it feel more authentic. After all the acrylic paint was done drying, I took clear spray paint and spray painted the whole mask. Then we moved on to the BioShock Infinite Salts bottle. So this was pretty simple, though it was simple after the first attempt, I should say. The first time I wasn't really thinking about it too much, and I still wasn't really into getting the cosplay stuff together. I printed a miniature version, not to scale. So when I printed it out, I was like, oh, maybe I should have done this to scale if I'm doing a full size like BioShock mask. But I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just make it work. So I painted it with blue acrylic paint and then topped it with glow-in-the-dark acrylic paint, and I hated how this turned out. Like, it looked crumbly and it was like mattified and the glow didn't really work too well, so I was like, you know what, scratch it, we're gonna start all the way over. I had my brother-in-law print out the whole full size as well. The print design changed, so he printed out the one for me where I can use an LED glow light stick as the stem of the bottle. When you put the glow stick in the bottle, it glows like it would in the game, and I love that idea. So I just ordered a couple of different size LED glow sticks I could find from like Amazon or Target. I printed this out and I had to actually sand down the bits a bit. I got to use my grandpa's power tools, and that was actually really fun. Learning from my first attempt, I wasn't going to use blue acrylic paint because it's going to be too opaque so that the glow light wouldn't really be able to shine through too much. So I was like, well, what should I use? Spray paint. I'll use like a glass stain spray paint. I tried a sea glass version and just a regular stained glass version. Decided to go with the stained glass normal version because I thought it looked more realistic like it did in the game. I just took that and it was really easy, way easier than using acrylic because you just spray a couple coats and then you're good. I let that fully dry. Then I was able to add the accents. I added little like fire droplet things that were on top of the stem, and it didn't turn out perfect, but I think that actually just made it look more realistic to the game because it, in the game they make it look very hand painted. BioShock Infinite completely enveloped me in this kind of steampunk world. BioShock Infinite is a completely different world than BioShock. It is set in a Edwardian period in 1912 of a cloud city called Columbia that's just like on blimps suspended in the air. So it's completely opposite of BioShock. The Edwardian aesthetic also is really great. Infinite, the storytelling was just captivating. I mean, who doesn't love Troy Baker? And then for the cap, for the stem, I painted it brown, but then wanted to make it look not so flat. So I gave it some dimension by using just gold metallic again with a dry brush, lightly painted over the little ridges. So it kind of popped a little bit more. I simply just put on the label that I printed out a couple times because I couldn't figure out the right size, and just slapped it on with some glue. And then I coated the whole bottle with a clear coat of spray paint. The glow stick still wasn't the perfect size for the bottle, so I had to use some leftover foam that my grandma had and like stuff the base of the bottle cap in the bottle so that the glow stick fit perfectly when I took it in and out, and that I could turn it on still, and then hot glued that all together. Of course, with the BioShock mask, I had to finish that up to make it wearable. What I decided to do was just take some ribbon, I guess you could call it that, and hot glued those ends. And once I added the hot glued ties for the mask, I also hot glued on the extra foam that I had and put it on the nose part, so when you wore the mask it didn't just fall on your face. It actually had some lift to it. But yeah, let's take a look at the final result. they both turned out. I'll talk about the Bioshock mask first. As you can see, the ridging still comes through. I didn't sand it down enough. I recently learned that you can also use wood filler as a way to smooth out the prints. So next time I'll definitely try to use that. Overall, I'm not upset. I really like how it turned out. Like, it's not perfect, but I think that plays into the aesthetic of it. It's not meant to be perfect. I'm really glad that it's actually wearable. And for the bottle, I gotta say, I like how easy it is to use. Like, it's not super clunky. For a costume, it's kind of a little bit different just because, like, you wouldn't necessarily be holding this at a party or whatever for cosplay the entire time, but I really like how it turned out. Like, sitting on my bookcase, I love it. It makes me happy every time I see it. I think the one thing is that I wish I had hand painted this, and maybe next time I'll try that, just because then it would feel more authentic. And you can kind of see like the foam stuck in there. There's a little foam here, but it works out perfectly. It's really cute. As for the cosplays themselves, I mean, I didn't put too much effort into it. I just wanted to kind of do a little cosplay with the prints just to give it the full aesthetic. I'm really happy. It was the first time I ever tried any kind of cosplay. I think in the future, I actually want to try sewing my own cosplay for Elizabeth, especially because she's such an interesting character. It was super fun. I really enjoyed doing this whole thing, and yeah, thanks for watching, and would you kindly press that like and subscribe button. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye! Cats, I swear to God, if you knock over, please don't knock over the tripod. Cut it out! Be cute. Go over here. Kind of reviewing the process I've been working on for the last 5 months or so. It's the project I've first taken on, so I can't talk any words. Oh, why is it so hard? Captivating and enveloped me. Is that a word? Enveloped. Yeah, I guess it's a word. I did that, so that was cool. What did I even say?